What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Black Lightning Season 1, Episode 11, The Resurrection and the Light, The Book of Pain. So, we're finally nearing the end of this season, and, it feels like it really is building up to it. You've got Tobias returns, the ASA is really pushing down hard on him to try to get him to do what they want, which is capture Black Lightning, bring him to them, so they can study him and find out why he didn't die, even though they're pretty sure he got his powers from their vaccine. And they even kind of explained their plan after they realized the vaccine was creating metas. It was sort of to get those people and have them fight their battles. So, it is one of those kind of typical, secret government organization cliches where it's like, oh, the big bad guy in the background and what they're doing and trying to get people to do stuff for them. Ooh, they're spooky. But I will give them credit that I do think Tobias it makes it feel a little bit more original because, I don't know, he's that guy that is working for them but doesn't really want to. So, in a sense, even though he's kind of the main bad guy for this season, they feel more evil than he does. And yet, he's still trying to take it over their organization. I don't know, it's weird because I know he's probably even more evil than they are because he's trying to take over what they're doing. But at the same time, it kind of feels like, he's fighting against them. So he's not, he's not the bad guy I was expecting at the beginning of the season, who's just going to be like this big brute who's just like, oh, I want to kill Black Lightning and that's all I really want. So, I don't know, it adds a little bit more depth, I guess, to his motivations. Not just killing Black Lightning, but also kind of ruling Freeland altogether. So, it's interesting. I'll see where it's going from there. And honestly, most of the superhero stuff is interesting. And it has been for a majority of the season. The problem that I've had, and that I still have in this episode, is all of the character stuff. It's just, the stuff with Jefferson finding out Anissa had powers, dealing with that was pretty interesting. It's not very often you see a superhero show where the very first season is also about the main character's daughter getting superpowers as well and kind of training her. You don't really see that very often. So I thought that was pretty unique and original. I enjoyed some of the conversations they had about it. But aside from that, all of the family drama, all of the relationship drama, it's been pretty bad. Jefferson's wife, Lynn, she's been very back and forth. One episode she'll be like, I hate the fact that you're doing this and I just can't see us ever being together because you're doing superhero stuff and I don't like that. And the next episode she'll be like, I've thought about it. I think I can work with this. I think I can find peace with it. And then the next episode, stuff like this, Jefferson, this is why we can't do this. I'm just like, make up your mind. Jennifer, total brat. And more of that in this episode. Just beginning of it, her mom's like talking about how she might be able to find a gene that will help her control her powers. And she's like all happy. She's like, oh, okay, that sounds pretty cool. And then her dad comes to talk to her and she's like, yeah, mom's going to find a way for me to take away my powers because I'm sick of all this superhero stuff. I'm sick of it. I'm just like, you've barely been involved in it. What the hell are you talking about? And of course, her mom never said she's looking for a cure. She said she was looking for a way to sort of control her powers. And it's just, so why say that? And then, she's talking to her mom, and of course she's acting all like, oh, I'm the sweetest daughter in the world because you said you could fix my powers and I don't want them anymore. So, yeah, tell me more about that. Just like, this is exactly what a kid does whenever they know their parents have something that they want and they're just trying to act nice to get it. This is exactly what they do. You're being a typical bratty kid. And then her mom says, oh, I'm not trying to find a cure. I'm not trying to fix you. There's nothing wrong with you. I'm just trying to help you control your powers. So why did you tell your dad that? And she's all like, Mom, just stop frosting the cake. Just stop. I guess I'm all out of options. I'm like, you little brat. I mean, honestly, she's probably been the worst character in this show. But it's like they just keep adding things that make her more and more unlikable. And I'm like, why? You don't need to make her this unlikable. I don't understand. And the show wants me to think, feel sorry for her. I mean, do you hear the sad music? You should feel very, very sorry for her because she has to deal with these powers. Are you kidding me? I'd love to have superpowers. I think most kids would, but for some reason, in her mind, anything that's out of the norm for her, anything that's unusual, is, oh, that's just bad. I don't want that. Ugh, it's frustrating. On top of that, this forges some really bullcrap conflict between Jefferson and Lynn, because Jefferson hears from Jennifer that she's trying to fix her, even though she never said that. And instead of saying that like a normal human being, no, I never told her that. I told her I was trying to control her powers. Instead of doing that, she's like, no, not that at all. But Jefferson, what are you even talking about? And then Jefferson gets all mad, and he's like, maybe we're right not to tell the girls that we were seeing each other, because maybe this isn't going to work out, and storms out. And I'm like, why are we spending time on this? Can we get back to the superhero stuff, please? Because that's much more interesting than any of this stuff. So anyway, all the family drama just really bugs me. We have more contrived drama between Khalil and Jennifer as well. He texts her right after Jefferson says, hey, don't go see Khalil. He's different. Something's off about him. He texts her. What a coincidence. And she's just like, you know what? Screw what my dad says. I'm going to do whatever I want. And then goes back to their old house, meets him up there. And yet, despite the fact that she's all like happy to see him, she's like, oh my gosh, like you're fixed. Oh, this is so great. Gives him a big hug. And then he tries to make the moves on her, and she just like pulls away. I'm like, wait, what? You're not interested in him? Wait, what? I'm confused. You went to your old house. You traveled all the way over there to see him, and you acted like you were happy, like, oh my gosh, my old boyfriend's back. You acted all happy like that, and yet he tries to kiss you and you pull away. I'm sorry. What? So are you interested in it? This is so stupid. And what does this all lead to? Is he going to attack her whenever he gets to school because she pulled away? No. She just tells him that he can stop, and he's just like, no, I won't hurt her, but you need to leave now. And then he walks away. So why have that scene on the roof? Wouldn't it have made much more sense if they didn't meet up and then he attacks the school and she's like, no, this isn't you. And then maybe we see him react to it. And then he's just like, okay, I'm not going to hurt her because I still care for her. But because of that scene on the roof, it makes me think, no, he shouldn't care for her because she already showed she doesn't really care for him in the same way he does. And so it would make more sense that he attacks her there. But based on the scene on the roof, now this scene makes no more sense. And this is an issue. Because you waste so much time on the relationship and the family stuff. It should lead to something. It should show in an episode like this. Best example I can think of. What was it? I think it was season 5 of Arrow? Last season? I don't remember. Season whatever of Arrow. We find out Oliver has a son. And Felicity is telling her mom, hey, look, sometimes people have to lie to protect the ones that they care about, the ones that they love. And then she finds out Oliver's been hiding his son because if he didn't, he would never get to see his son again, and he's trying to protect him. And yet she reacts like, I can't believe you lied to me. How dare you do this? We can't be together. We're not getting married anymore. That scene with her mom should lead to, oh, you were lying about your son? I understand. Because I just talked to my mom about this. Sometimes people have to lie to protect the ones they care about. But it didn't lead to anything. It was the same exact reaction I would have expected if I hadn't seen that scene. But because you showed me that scene, I thought it was going to lead to this, and then it didn't. That doesn't make any sense. Same thing here. You show me the scene where on the roof. You show me a scene where she pulls away from him, and he gets frustrated, like, I can't believe you're pulling away from me. What, do you not like me anymore? And then they show me the scene in the school where he has a chance to attack her and maybe get his revenge because of what she did, and then he doesn't. It doesn't connect. You have to have two scenes that connect, and those two did not. And so it makes me feel like all they did was just have those scenes to pad the runtime. And that's frustrating. To have pointless scenes that do nothing but just add some more time to the episode. It's stupid. So anyway, all that is frustrating. However, the rest of the superhero stuff, pretty interesting. We see a little bit more with Lala in this one. he's talking to this one guy who apparently one of his guys did something he wasn't supposed to. I can't remember what he did. It was kind of vague. But then he hears this like voice in the cell phone, and he just, I don't know. It was really weird. Like he hears this voice. I can't remember. It was something like the devil calls or something like that, and he just like puts down the phone, and all of a sudden he's like really shaking. Like he's just like, and he starts walking out past this guy, and he's like, "What are you talking about, Lala? Loyalty? What? What do you mean loyalty?" And he just walks out, and then all of a sudden he goes to this gun dealer that Gamby was trying to talk to, trying to get information about the ASA and what they're trying to do, and I guess takes him out because apparently Tobias asked him to. So Tobias is the one behind his resurrection. Don't understand why. Don't understand why he killed him in the first place if he was just going to resurrect him. I don't know what any of this means. It's still very bizarre, still very vague. Maybe we'll get a bit of an explanation in the final episode. But yeah, we see the final scene in this episode. Tobias is talking to him and says, we took out Lady Eve to get a seat at the table. Now time to take out the rest of those old farts because now we can have the entire table to ourselves. And wants Lala to do it. So I still don't really know what Tobias's end game is. It seems like he wants to control the ASA and kill Black Lightning at the same time. And it also feels like, for some reason Lala is involved and is a crucial part of his plan. I still don't understand that. I hope they give us some sort of explanation, but for right now, a lot of it is kind of shrouded in mystery. But aside from that, we also see Jefferson goes to the school because it's under attack from Khalil. He goes in there with Anissa, and there's a pretty cool fight scene between Anissa and the girl that works for Tobias. Still don't really know much about her. Still think she's kind of a pitiful assassin just because, you shot your target and he lived. That's a problem. But I don't know. I really like the fight scene. I liked her reactions to it as well because she's sitting there and she's shooting a bunch and it's not doing anything. It's all bouncing off of this girl. She's like, what? And so then she takes out these two sticks and starts fighting her, and then all of a sudden the sticks break and you can just see the look on her face like, okay, I'm in trouble. And so she's trying to just dodge the attacks, and then finally she catches a sense that it's her breathing that's giving her the super strength. And so as soon as Anissa goes to take a breath, she punches her and then knocks the air out of her, and that gives her a fighting chance. So I like it whenever you have a villain who is clearly outmatched, but finds a way to sort of give themselves a chance. Even though the superhero should be able to beat her, she did find a way to even the fight. I liked it. It was clever. Meanwhile, Jefferson goes to fight Tobias in the hallways. He has on some sort of like lightning-proof suit, so he has to take him on one-on-one, even though Gamby's telling him not to. Which of course he doesn't listen. He's just like, whatever, I can do this. And then eventually gets Tobias down. Khalil comes out of nowhere. Gamby's like, shock his thing. His implant will cause him to not be able to walk anymore. But he's just kind of sitting there like, what do I do? And then Khalil shoots him with this little dart. He was shooting a bunch of people with darts. I don't know what those darts do. But this one apparently takes away his powers. Tobias grabs his arms, and then Khalil punches him in the chest and then kills him. And of course I'm thinking to myself, okay, so Jennifer stayed behind. She has the ability to, like, I can't remember who said her powers were like a generator. But when I heard that, I was thinking to myself, okay, so pretty much what that means is there's going to be a point where Jefferson runs out of lightning, and she's going to be able to give her lightning to him because she has an endless amount of energy. And that's what she does, and that manages to save his life for the moment, but still very clearly hurt. They're taking him in to try to fix him, to get him to heal up. And that's kind of where this episode leaves off. Tobias feels like he's won. The ASA is pissed, of course, because they're like, oh, they killed Jefferson, and or Black Lightning, and we needed him alive. And so the ASA guy is talking to the vice principal, and he's like, go get me Black Lightning's body, and go get me Thunder as well. Clearly seeing that she might also be a product of the vaccine. It's like, okay, so let's see if that's possible. But overall, it was enjoyable as far as the superhero stuff is concerned, but man, the family stuff, the relationship stuff is really dragging it down. And anytime these scenes are happening, I get really frustrated because these characters a couple of them are shallow, a couple of them just feel like they're hypocrites. One episode they're saying one thing, next episode they're doing the exact opposite. So Hopefully it'll improve by the next episode, which is the last one. But either way, that's it for this episode. So now on to the season finale. See you guys there. And now episode 13, the season finale, Shadow of Death, the Book of War. So this one, honestly, I wasn't really sure what to expect because really, up until the last episode, I wasn't really sure what the season was even going to be about, if I'm being honest. Yes, they introduced the ASA, but they also had Tobias, they had Lala, they had all these different things going on. And until last episode, I was like, what is this going to be about? And then whenever the ASA really stepped in and this guy, Proctor, he started running a lot of stuff, I was like, okay. So as soon as I saw that, clearly he's going to be the bad guy. He's going to be the one that they stop this season. And sure enough, that's exactly what it leads to. Proctor's trying to track them down and trying to find out where they went after the attack on the school. He wants Black Lightning's body, thinking he's dead. He wants Thunder as well, trying to do tests. Meanwhile, Jefferson and his family hold up in this cabin. They do end up finding the cabin, and then ultimately Black Lightning and his family manage to escape and then track him down, and then Gamby kills him. So I find Gamby pretty interesting so far just because it feels like, you know, he's finally shown who he truly is. And that is something that at the beginning of the season I was like, okay, so he's got some depth, there's some mystery to it. But now it's like he's a good guy, clearly. He wants to help, but at the same time, he's got some dark sides to him as well. And I do think that is something that can be explored in the next season. So I'm interested to see how that plays into the next season. So anyway, let's talk about some of the things that I liked and didn't like about this. First of all, something I didn't mention in the last episode that I really got to thinking about during this one, whenever Khalil was talking with Tobias and Cyanide, I finally remembered her name. He's talking to him, and I'm just thinking to myself, he's talking about all this stuff, trying to track down these people, trying to do all this, and it hit me that I didn't bring up last episode how frustrated I am once again that we didn't really get to see a progression with him. And part of that I bring it down to the fact that we only had 13 episodes. They didn't have a lot of time to explore his story, so I'll give him a bit of a pass on it. But at the same time, I do wish it had been a little bit more. We see Tobias slowly turning him, slowly like turning people against him, turning him against other people. And it's becoming like this slow process of him just changing his mind. I feel like that would have been so much more interesting rather than we see Tobias talking to him saying, hey, Black Lightning's your enemy, and he's just like, what? No. And then like 3 episodes later, we see him like, yes, Mr. Tobias, I'm here for you. I'm going to work for you. I'm just like, when did this happen? We didn't get to experience any of this. It just, boom, it's done. So, still a problem, and seeing him, like, he's pretty much a supervillain now. And the attack on the school is really where I thought it the first time, but when he was going through the ASA headquarters and, like, shooting agents and stuff, I thought to myself, I've got to bring this up, because it is a problem that they didn't really address. So, but yeah, we see they're trying to take down Proctor as well, just because, like I said, Tobias wants to sort of run the ASA. And on top of that, we see he gets this suitcase that Proctor was trying to get off a dead guy's arm and apparently didn't, I think. But yeah, so he's trying to get a hold of the suitcase. He manages to, and then gets Proctor's thumbs from the corner after Gamby kills him, and then uses it to open it up. And then he's just like, now I'm the king of Freeland. And he's like, we're going to suck the light out of Black Lightning's body. And so, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things where you feel like they're building up what Season 2 is going to be about. It's going to be more Tobias trying to take out Black Lightning and Black Lightning trying to take him out in return. But I don't know what's in the suitcase, and I feel like it's going to be something either really important that's going to play a lot into the fight, or it's going to be something that just doesn't really mean much of anything. It's just like, oh, he now has the key to the city. I don't know. I assume it's probably important, but we'll see. Aside from that, though, the whole scene at the cabin was pretty fun to watch. Just seeing them take on all these people. The music got a little bit too much, and I thought that in the last episode too, during the school fight, the music got a little bit loud during the fight scene, and it kind of mixed with the sounds going on, all of the fighting sounds and stuff, and it didn't really fit together. It's one of those things where you have to have either a balance of it, or have all one or all the other, but it's like instead of having 50% music and 50% sounds of the fight, or 100% music and no fighting sounds, or 100% fighting sounds and no music, instead of any of that, it was like 100% and 100%. It was all just so loud, and it didn't really mix, and that's what I thought during the cabin fight scene too. We're listening to this one song, and then it cuts to commercial, comes back, and it's on another song, and it's so loud, and it just kind of drowns out some of the noise coming in. But then on top of that, some of the noise from the fight scene starts to drown out the music, and it just didn't really fit very well. So I think that's something they do need to improve on going into the second season for them. But yeah, so we see they managed to get out of there. A little bit of a deus ex machina. We see after Jefferson wakes up. I don't know, some of the names, sometimes it takes a second for it to come back to my brain. After he wakes up, we see he doesn't have his powers, and it's kind of like, oh no, what's going to happen? Well, 3 or 4 minutes later, we see he's about to sacrifice himself to save everyone, and then Jennifer gets all upset and then runs to him and flares up her powers, which, like I said in the last episode, is going to kind of give him the ability to have his lightning abilities again. So I saw it coming like 3 or 4 episodes ago whenever we first found out about her powers and what they do. As soon as we heard about that, I'm like, yeah, that's definitely going to happen at some point, and finally did in the season finale. But I don't know, I find it a little bit strange that they decided to do this before the fight scene even started. I thought it was going to be one of those kind of cliche things where it's like, he goes out to fight and he starts taking them on with the suit because it's still bulletproof and he's taking them on. But then at some point they finally overwhelm him, and then Jennifer gets upset seeing that. She runs out and like, oh, jumps on him and then gives her abilities to him, and he's able to fight them off. But instead it's like, no, they didn't go through any of that. It was just she gets upset before the fight even starts and then hugs him and then gives him his powers, and I'm just like, oh. So that whole sacrifice speech was just to make us think that he was actually about to go out there without his powers, but then he didn't. That was a pointless scene. And they've had a few of those in the past couple episodes. So it is a problem. It is something that they need to address as far as storytelling is concerned, because you can't have pointless scenes. Like I said in the last one, the scene between Khalil and Jennifer, pointless scene. You can't have moments like that. So aside from that, everything else pretty good. Enjoyed the flashbacks with Jefferson, getting to see his father a little bit. The acting at the beginning was a little bit weird, but he got better as the episode went along. It was mainly just the fake laugh. The fake laugh was very like, ha, 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 ha. I'm just like, is that how you laugh in real life? I don't think so. But it's not, it was really good. The scene where he sees him and is talking to him about everything, talking about how he's sorry that he chose a path of violence with Black Lightning, and his father's like, sometimes the path to peace does have a bit of violence in it, and I don't know, I enjoyed some of the back and forth between them. It was very emotional. I will take a few points off, though, for not 1, but 2 Trump references from our villain. If you don't like Trump, fine. I'm not a big fan of him either. I think he's a better choice than Hillary, but, for those of you that don't like Trump, I get it. He's kind of a douchebag. However, all these superhero shows think they're just so clever whenever their villain says something like, I'm going to make America great again, or it's time to make America grow again, or, it's time to make this country great again. It's like, oh, we're so clever because our villain's saying something that Trump said. Aren't we just the cleverest? I'm like, everybody's making fun of Trump. Can't you do something different? Can't you do, something not politically related? So, I know the show, there was a lot of political stuff in it, obviously. A lot of racial tension in some of their stories. So, of course, there's going to be some political stuff, but it just feels like I've seen pretty much every superhero show at some point have their villains say, we're going to make something great again, because it's a reference to Trump, and they think it's just the most clever thing, and they think everybody just gets a big laugh out of it. I'm sure even the Trump haters at some point are thinking, okay, seriously, can we just stop talking about him? I don't know. Ugh. But yeah, he said it not once. When he said it the first time, I'm like, oh, look at that, villain saying. And then he says it again in the final scene with Jefferson and his family. I'm like, wow, you really think that's a clever joke, don't you? You really think nobody else is doing this? I don't know. I get sick of it. I'm just like, okay, you don't like him. Great. Let's move on, please. He enjoys being bashed and stuff. He actually enjoys the attention. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I talk about the season as a whole. I don't think so. I think that's about it. Overall, this first season, it was good. There were a lot of good moments. I think the two big things coming out of this that I really enjoyed. One, the action stuff was really good. Like just the fighting scenes, the CGI on the lightning effects. A lot of it was really well done. It feels like they did a very good job. It reminded me a bit of the first season of Arrow. Like the action scenes really were a strong point because they took a lot of time. The choreographed fights were really good. You could see that the people that were doing it put a lot of effort into making sure they could do these acrobatic stunts and really pull off some good fighting moves. That's what it felt like. Watching the show, it felt like they put a lot of time and care into their fight scenes, and I respect that. The other thing that I really did like was I liked some of the story as far as the superhero stuff is concerned. I enjoyed a lot of that. It's one thing to tell a good story. It's another thing to tell a good comic book superhero story. And not a lot of shows can do that. Some of them do tell a good one. Some of them feel like they have to do all these big plot twists like, oh, can you trust this person? Oh, you can trust them. Just kidding. They're actually a bad guy. And it feels like they do that so many times that it gets a little bit old. This story, it felt like they kept it simple. It was a simple, bad guy versus good guy, but then they added in another bad guy that kind of is a little bit higher. And, now the bad guys are kind of against each other, and one bad guy's trying to overthrow the other one. I don't know, I like it whenever they do stories like that where they're both still bad guys, but you kind of feel like there's some tension going on there as well. And, some of the stuff with Jefferson and his powers could get interesting from time to time. I really like the story between him and Anissa. Whenever she first got her powers and him trying to train her, I enjoyed that. The stuff I didn't like, mainly the family stuff. Like I said in the last episode, I feel like they just didn't do a good job of making it feel realistic. They made Jennifer too much of a brat. Anissa at first was too much of just kind of a hypocrite. It felt like Lynn was very much a hypocrite, going back and forth on her decisions. Jefferson at times could be a little bit too harsh when I felt like he was overreacting to situations. And then, of course, as far as relationship stuff is concerned, Jennifer and Khalil, their thing was kind of stupid. Jefferson and Lynn, their spats got really stupid. Anissa, first she's with one girl and then she starts talking to another girl and then breaks up with her girlfriend. I'm just like, what's the point of this? What is this leading to? Absolutely nothing. So, overall the relationship and family stuff didn't really interest me. And as far as, obviously one of the things at the beginning of this that definitely was going to be something people were going to talk about is, of course, the racial tension. And, of course, you're probably thinking, oh, white guy, oh, yeah, he has no idea. But, I thought, first of all, they kept it subtle throughout most of the season. There were some episodes that got a little bit heavy as far as, like, oh, racism is awful. It's like, we all know this. Can't you do it in a more subtle and clever way? But I liked a couple of the messages that came out of it. The big one, obviously, being the one that I talked about, really liking, where he was talking about don't attack the hatred with more hatred because that just breeds even more hatred. Trying to not necessarily reason with them because some of them can't be reasoned with, but, not going back at them because that's exactly what they want. They want you to react to a situation because then it makes them look justified in what they're saying. And so I really like that message. I thought it was a good message that a lot of us need to hear because our country is so divided right now. It's not something that's being talked about, this whole idea of don't attack hatred with more. So I really like that one. And for the most part, they did keep it somewhat subtle. There were, I don't know why, but for some reason, black ass turned into kind of a catchphrase in this in this show. Like, I just feel like a lot of people started using it, and I'm just like, why? Is that supposed to be something where we're supposed to be like, oh, that's offensive? I don't know what that was. It was kind of weird. But overall, I did enjoy this first season. I think there's a lot of potential going into the second season, not just with these characters, but also with the story. It feels like a story you can start to grow upon, and you also kind of have to wonder, is it going to start tying in with our other superhero shows as well? Probably, if I had to guess, but we'll see. But yeah, overall, good first season. Overall, thought it was enjoyable, And that's pretty much all I can ask for most of these superhero shows. So anyway, that's it from me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on these last 2 episodes, as well as the season as a whole? Let me know. We can talk about and discuss all the good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Black Lightning reviews. I'll see you guys next season. Peace out.